Okay, let's dive right in. Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're unpacking a truly fascinating and complex situation: how Pakistan's largest economic hub is stalling under a compounding multi-sector infrastructure crisis. Karachi is the country's main economic engine and its primary port, yet right now, it's trapped in the sprawling, interconnected web of physical and systemic decay. We're going to look closely at the data, the policies, and the daily realities to understand exactly how a metropolis of this scale reaches a state of total gridlock. We have to start with a macro diagnosis, and honestly, it's a sobering one. Karachi scores a stark 42.7 out of 100 on the Economist Intelligence Unit's Global Livability Index. To put that into perspective for you, this puts Karachi in the bottom 5 globally, standing right alongside cities like Lagos, Tripoli, and Damascus. This score tells us loud and clear that we aren't just looking at an isolated issue. It's not just a bad road here or a broken pipe there. We are looking at a complete systemic breakdown. To truly grasp this breakdown, we'll explore these overlapping crises. Our agenda today covers 1. A city under pressure. 2. The daily resource struggle. 3. Collapsing arteries and roads. 4. The healthcare workforce gap. And 5. Politics and coordination failures. Section 1. A city under pressure. Unpacking the overlapping crises. The baseline pressure starts with water. Karachi needs 650 million gallons of water every single day just to function, but it currently gets only 610 million. That is a staggering daily shortfall of 40 million gallons. Now, a 40 million gallon deficit is massive on its own, but what's truly concerning is that this is just one piece of a much larger puzzle. It's a very real problem, but unfortunately, it's not the only one. Section 2. The daily resource struggle, gas supply, and the domino effect. The knock-on effects of the Suez Southern Gas Company's supply failures are incredibly severe. Citizens face frequent, totally unannounced load shedding, often right during peak cooking hours. So, what happens? Households are forced into alternative cooking arrangements, which leads to overcrowded restaurants and these long, desperate lines at LPG stations. Observers note that women disproportionately bear the brunt of managing these household shortages, and students are finding their exam preparations completely derailed by these compounding gas, power, and water disruptions. Now, authorities cite a basic supply-demand gap, but citizens point to chronic mismanagement, aging infrastructure, and a real lack of transparency around outage schedules that just fuels public frustration. Section 3. Collapsing arteries and roads, the most visible crisis. The near-impassable roads across multiple districts are arguably the most visible crisis in the entire city. We're talking widespread decay from North Karachi and Gulberg down to old city areas like Liari, where sewage water is literally mixing with broken road surfaces. But here's a crucial detail. This decay critically plagues western districts like Orangi Town and Baldia Town, despite the presence of elected local governments. And this raises some really urgent, highly debated questions about whether this widespread deterioration is simply a funding issue or a massive failure in governance capacity and resource allocation. A major structural cause of this decay is a massive coordination failure. Urban planners frequently point fingers at utilities like SSGC for repeatedly excavating and destroying newly built roads. The solution that gets debated a lot is a cut-once excavation policy. This is a coordinated urban planning strategy, where a single shared window is used for all utility capital works. Without it, utilities plan their work completely independently, and the exact same road just gets dug up over and over again by different agencies. And this lack of coordination isn't just an inconvenience, it's genuinely deadly. Over 800 road accident deaths are projected in Karachi for 2025 alone. Nationally, only about 1% of Pakistani roads are rated 3 stars for safety. On top of that, there are accusations that the Karachi Metropolitan Corporation, or KMC, collects road-cutting charges from these utilities without actually following through on restoring the surfaces. Ultimately, the long-term financial and physical costs fall entirely on the residents, while utilities face minimal post-completion liability. Section 4. The healthcare workforce gap. Structural interventions. The provincial government is actively stepping in here with some structural interventions. First, the Sindh cabinet approved the release of funds to settle liabilities for 111 outsourced healthcare facilities. This includes 105 rural health centers and 6 taluka hospitals run under a public-private partnership model. Second, they launched a much-needed long-term Sindh nursing workforce strategic policy, which is slated to run from 2026 to 2040. The need for this strategic policy is starkly obvious when you look at the numbers side by side. Right now, Sindh has a nurse density of just 0.63 per 1,000 population. Contrast that with the World Health Organization benchmark, which calls for 3.33 nurses per 1,000 people. This is a massive human resources gap, and it directly impacts the daily livability and survival of the city's residents. Concurrently, recognizing the need for broader physical rehabilitation alongside healthcare, the provincial cabinet approved 11 non-ADP infrastructure schemes. Non-ADP basically means these are special schemes funded outside the normal annual development plan constraints. These fall under the umbrella of the Karachi Mega Project, specifically funded through the 2025-26 budget to tackle road and transport corridor rehabilitation across multiple areas. It's an attempt to inject some life back into those collapsing arteries we were just talking about.
Section 5. Politics and coordination failures, the engine of gridlock.
We have to impartially examine the deep political tension here because it really shapes everything we've discussed. On one side, we have the provincial view, led by Sindh and the PPP. Senior ministers publicly criticize the federal government for treating Karachi as a low priority for infrastructure funding. On the flip side, observers and critics note a stark federal reality. Despite being the country's main port, absorbing heavy freight traffic, and being the primary revenue-generating city, Karachi has largely been bypassed in the development of the national motorway network. This tangled web of competing authorities perfectly maps out why sweeping capital works often end up with such disjointed, destructive outcomes. Just look at the players on the board. You've got SSGC handling gas and utilities. You have the KMC and town administrations managing municipal roads and collecting charges. The KWSB handles water and sewage. Then you have the provincial government setting regional strategy and the federal government controlling national investments in motorways. When all these entities operate in silos without a unified coordination policy, the city's infrastructure turns into a truly chaotic battleground. Which brings us to a fundamental debate that urban planners and citizens are facing right now. Are neglected areas suffering simply because there isn't enough money to go around? Or are they suffering because these competing authorities across municipal, provincial, federal, and utility levels just cannot align their efforts? The evidence we've seen today heavily suggests that even when funds are spent, a sheer lack of coordination literally destroys the progress made. I'll leave you with this provocative thought as we wrap up this explainer. When an entire city's infrastructure is interlocked in decay, from the gas you cook with, to the water you drink, to the roads you drive on, right down to the hospitals you rely on, where exactly do you begin the repairs? With limited resources and a complex web of competing authorities, how does a nation prioritize the survival of its primary economic engine to prevent a total systemic collapse? It's a massive challenge, and understanding these layers is the very first step. Thank you for joining me.